Deep beneath the fluttering leaves of enchanted forests, where the wind rustles through autumn branches like a whispered secret, I made a discovery. Not in a far-off realm, but a year ago, when I bought this sketchbook, I realised that perfection isn't what defines an artist, that my sketchbooks didn't have to be the epitome of immaculate. The pages of this sketchbook are the real jewels I've gathered, the treasures I've meticulously collected over the course of a long and meandering journey. A journey not through mountains or darkened caverns, but through risk-taking and experimentation, through tangled forests of doubt and across vast deserts of perfectionism and fear of what would happen if I were to let go and surrender to the flow of creativity, rather than trying to beat it into submission. I won't lie to you, this sketchbook is messy and random and all over the place, but to me, each page is a landmark, each sketch a relic of what I've experienced. As Kenny Chamberlain said, "When I see someone with an immaculate sketchbook, I don't trust that person." And honestly, I agree. The moment I let go of that impossible standard, of needing every page to be flawless and presentable, something shifted. I finished a sketchbook for the first time ever, and it is this journey that I'd like to share with you. So this sketchbook, as you know, was the one that I first finished. I had a lot more sketchbooks before this, but I was set on finishing the sketchbooks rather than actually enjoying the process and seeing what I could learn throughout, and also being proud of what I did create. So I learned a lot of things with this sketchbook. The challenges with it was mostly letting myself be creative without necessarily having a perfect end result. I think it was very much a process of giving myself the space to kind of experiment and see where my mind could go without having a reference or a final result in mind, which was really difficult for me to kind of like allow myself to do. So I'm very proud that I did do it, but it does also mean that there are a lot of random pictures in here. But let's start. So the front of the sketchbook, I think I got this in Hobbycraft. I'll put up the specific sketchbook name on the screen. I think the stickers were mostly from a vintage shop in my hometown. This one my friend gave me. I drew stars on the front just because I feel like black sketchbooks look kind of boring if you don't decorate them well enough, and I really hate a boring sketchbook, especially the cover. The back doesn't have much. It's got a "Hello, my name is" sticker. It's got my name on it. As you can see, it's eroded away slowly. And then I've got some more stickers from the vintage shop in my town and some more stars. That's pretty much the front. It's not very interesting, but I do like it. As you can see, there's like a lot of erosion going on. I actually don't know why, since I think the sketchbook was meant to be of high quality and I have not done anything crazy with it. But, you know, at least it gives it that authentic, loved look. So, the starting page was definitely a ride. I've got my kind of like intro and context on this page. Some more stickers from that vintage shop. I've got my details, and also on here it says animation practice / messy practice, which is really interesting because this is what I based this book for. Like, it was never intended to be an actual sketchbook. The reason why I did initially give myself the space to be creative was because it wasn't meant to be pretty. I wouldn't think I would show this to people, but now that I've finished it, I feel like it is a sketchbook in its own right, and I do want to show it to people. It took me a year just about to finish the sketchbook. I started it last year in August. I finished it in June in 2025. This was a starting page. It wasn't meant to be anything crazy. I think this was all from my mind. I don't really use references. These are some doodles from my maths class that I thought looked cool that I'd stick in here. These are some stickers I got from Amazon. This is like a nice kind of decorative piece from a stained glass like book that my mum got, and I thought the packaging was really pretty, so I cut it out and I saved it in my scrapbooking box. And this is how it came out. I really like it. These are just random people I drew that I thought looked cool. Then some random woman. I like this one because I drew it on a train ticket. And just some doodles. And I think this page doesn't really capture what this sketchbook is going to be about because I don't really have an idea for it. But I like it nonetheless. These next two pages, I really wanted to try and practice my pencil sketches and just in general kind of drawing realism much more. At the beginning of the sketchbook, I used pencil a lot, and what really annoys me is like the charcoal imprints, the kind of like effect of the friction of the pages rubbing together while the sketchbook is being transported or something. It looks really bad, but I can't be asked to tidy it up, and next time I will know that I should use something to cover the pencil drawings with so they don't do this, make this mess. But these were two of my friends, and yeah, and then I drew a little bit of kind of like this person jumping. I think I filmed my brother jumping and then used the different shots to kind of make this little sequence of a person jumping. And then just some random doodles. This was off of Pinterest. I definitely wanted to get better at anatomy, and this seemed like a safe start. Let's continue. So this was, again, a lot of pencil, a lot of like messy like charcoal imprinting. This was a character I drew from the series I was reading when I was drawing this. It was called the Mirror Visitor series, and this is Ophelia from the Mirror Visitor series. I really love her character, but all the fan art I looked at I didn't really like because it didn't match the kind of like way that I imagined her in my head. And this kind of, I'm really happy with this because this is like the exact image I have of her in my head, and I love it so much. She looks great, and I'm very happy with this drawing. Then obviously we've got some hands. I think they look okay, but I mostly relied for shading to make them look any kind of like hand-ish, I guess. But it does get better, especially since I did have a lot of practice drawing hands, since I love hands so much. They're just so cool. And then I've got a random doodle, again, just because I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting. More pencil drawings. We've got my kind of like version of Raven Queen and Apple White if they were just kind of like the average person. I did kind of make them styled, and I do really want to create this digitally and give it color and make it more alive, but I really like the way this came out. And these are some random drawings, like I can't tell you what they are. I think I was in class whilst drawing this. I can guess that because of this chair and this plant pot, and yeah. Then these pages get a little bit more interesting. This was a scene from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I paused it and drew it. And then we've got some cool graffiti style, kind of like writing, more hands, random people from my head, another random person from my head, and Gru. The best drawing in this entire sketchbook. And his minion. There are no flaws here. I don't see anything. My entire purpose of being an artist was drawing these guys. Next page, I did most of this in school. Which means I couldn't really use a reference because I didn't have an iPad at the beginning of the school year to use for references, and you couldn't use your phone. So I tried figuring out different kind of like angles and how the human body would look like by myself. I drew this girl by myself, and then I drew her from the side, and then I put perspective. And then this page I really like. This was meant to be a person, but it turned out horribly wrong. So instead I decided to make it a cacophony of like random, I guess, parts of the body. This is a cute little anatomy practice, the back of a shoe, and two cool ladies that I drew using this Pentel pocket brush pen that is literally my baby. I love it so much. It's not cheap, but It's so worth it. I love it so much. And I used it for the kind of like black outlines. And then I also used this grey Faber-Castell artist pen brush to kind of make that grey shading. I love both of them. They look so cool. I don't know where I got them from. They're definitely from my head, but I really like the way it came out. These were like both in pen. So again, a lot of like chafing marks, but chafing? You know what I mean. This one here was inspired by the book of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. It's not Evelyn herself, but I really like this kind of like duality between the outer image she gave to the media and the people versus who she actually was, what kind of relationships she had, etc. So I put this really, you know, emo question on there as well, just to emphasize the duality. And then this was when I figured out how to draw handstands from my mind, and I got very happy. So then I drew them thrice in my German class. I think it looks cool. Next up, some more random drawings perspective-wise from my school. We've got a bunch of arms attached to an arm to see how they would look like from the different angles. We've got more like practice of like different ways the body could be placed and shaped and kind of like the way it looks like in different dynamic positions. And we've got a random guy in a shirt, which is always interesting. We've got this random lady as well. And then we've got this lovely person from the 1920s that I drew, just unprompted randomly. And I decided to draw her 3 times because I liked her so much the first time, which I think she looks pretty cool. Then this is me and my mum. I really, again, like I said, I really wanted to get better at drawing people in a realistic sense. Realistic enough so that the person looking can probably infer who the people on the drawing are, if they know me. So I'm kind of happy with how this turned out. Then for this page, I don't know what happened, just a bunch of random signatures. This person running and metamorphosizing into some lilies, apparently, that were on my mum's like desk a while back. And this is my friend from school that I drew. I really like the way I drew her. I think it does look like her a lot, and I'm very happy with it, especially since this was one of those first like observational like 2-minute drawings I had to do. In the pressure and the time, I think this came out very well. Next up, we've got more random pages. This was like a storyboard idea I had that I could have included in like a book idea. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's linked with like the performativity of like gender. I thought I'd make it kind of like a little concept sketch. I like the way it came out. It's very much, she's sad, she's thinking about it, she rejects it. So that's pretty cool. Random person again, and these two I drew in school without any reference, so I'm very surprised of the way they came out, and I also really like them. I also like the glitter pen I drew it with. It was like a £1 glitter pen from like the works, but I really like glitter pens. They're really cool to draw with. Surprisingly, for the price, they're good quality. This was a outfit idea I drew in my English class. I think this wasn't original, but I was definitely inspired by that one scene from H2O Just Add Water, where I don't remember who it was, but one of the girls was wearing like this kind of like jellyfish costume, and I thought that was really cool, so I kind of took the idea and made it into an outfit. And this is her when she takes the huge hat off, which I think was very funny of me to include. Another little sequence of someone running, and then some random faces that I drew. This is yet another random page that I don't really have much context for and didn't really plan out. This is a person whose hair turns into Hiatus Coyote lyrics. They are wrong, by the way, because this is from Nakamura by Hiatus Coyote. It's meant to say Hannah, my darling, but it says hello, my darling, because I always thought it was hello, where it's actually, they say Hannah. And then my friend, who's called Hannah, was like, Gabby, you got this wrong. And I was like, oh, damn. So this is gonna just haunt me for the rest of my life. Anyway, and then there's this cool lady that has the kind of like Victorian hairdo we all love. I drew her in a little mini version. And some random woman that I drew in, again, glitter pen. Then we've got the first page that I made for a while using references. These were all from Pinterest. I don't think this one was, but all the rest I remember drawing from Pinterest. I think it's quite a boring page. There's not much going on. It's just kind of there. But it's good nonetheless. I'm happy with how it turned out. It was just kind of mindless drawing. Like, I didn't really have any idea in mind. This was also more mindless drawing. I was out with my friends and they were talking and I got a little bit bored, so I started like drawing random things in Posca pen. And it's a very basic page, but you know, it's got its own little charm to it. And this is my friend. I took a picture of him ages ago and I decided to draw him since I was practicing realism. It doesn't really look like him, but I do like the way that I used shading. And it does actually look like a real person. This could pass for a realism-esque-ish kind of sort of drawing. So I'm happy with it. Then this is another friend that I drew. Not very realistic, but I'm happy with how she turned out. If you looked at her and knew her in real life, you'd know it was her, which I'm happy about because it took me, I think I whipped this up in 3 minutes, so I'm happy with how it turned out. And then just some random people to fill the page. And then this is the same friend that was here. He was next to me. We were having a friend hang out and he was talking to someone and I just basically used him as like free hair studies because he has really cool hair, and I drew him with a little Roblox face as well because I thought it was funny. And yeah, I think this page was definitely cool. I definitely like the way it turned out, and I like the way that I kind of captured the kind of curls of his hair. This was a lamp at my friend's house I really liked, so I drew it, and this was concept like art for this demon guy from my friend's fanfic that he's making. It's good. I have nothing against it. I really like this smile of his to kind of show like his inherently kind of like uncanny but also a little bit goofy nature. Then this was a random dress I made. I don't know why or how, but it's here. Loud and proud, look at her. She's slaying. But, yeah, not much to say about both of these pages really, except from the context that I've given. This page, I genuinely cannot tell you what's going on here. We've got a little scene here. Someone's looking up at some kind of like scribble abomination, and is a person looking determined and mysterious. This is a little study again of probably just anatomy, but they also have really curly hair and like some swirls going down here, so I don't actually know what's going on. This could have been a character, but I could not tell you. My consciousness was gone whilst drawing this. I don't know how I did it. I just blacked out and I woke up again and this was on the page. These two I do remember. I made them with some random, like, I think really cheap markers that I found at my, like, friend's house, and they came out okay. I didn't use any references for them, so I'm happy with the way they kind of came out. And then this guy, I don't know who it is, but it low-key reminds me of Victor from Arcane. Or Silco, actually. One of the two. I can't make my mind up. This next page, I also really can't tell you what's going on. There's a random person standing. There's a girl with scarily kind of like plain features. It makes her look so uncanny. I get really disturbed every time I see her because she just doesn't, like, you don't know what she's doing. Is she screaming? Is she laughing? Is she about to say something? You don't know. And this guy, it looks really mad, but I think he looks pretty cool. It again reminds me of, like, Victor from Arcane, because of probably the eye bags. Two people standing, hanging out, and then these were Pinterest references. Again, I remember when I use Pinterest references, because I don't do it very often, especially in the middle of this book. Any references I do use are usually, like, pictures I've taken myself, or photos of people in my life, so random Pinterest references are pretty rare. This was another character from my friend's fanfic. I think she turned out really cool. She's meant to be an angel. It's the first time I ever tried drawing like something so kind of like detailed when it comes to like the shapes and stuff. And I really like the way she came out. She looks kind of exactly how I pictured her in my head. The halo's really cool. She looks like a really badass angel. Yeah, I love this page, and I really want to recreate it digitally to kind of, again, bring her to life. Make her more than just a pencil sketch. And then some more kind of like practicing anatomy, a random person from my head. This page, I actually don't know what to say. I was going a little bit insane. I can tell you that this is my friend's tag. And then these two people, I don't know what's going on with them. They're fusing by the hair into this huge star that's also kind of exploding. And these are two cool guys that I also probably randomly drew from my head. I like his glasses. And then these are three people that I drew, I think at the end of one of my school days. I was really tired and really bored, so I whipped out my sketchbook and I decided to draw these three people. Oh, she's got wax on. What is going on here? Why is there wax on her? Anyway, I think they look really cool. I like the different hairstyles, heights. It makes it a really interesting drawing, I think. I did forget to draw her feet, so she's just gonna remain feetless for the rest of her life. But it's okay. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, these are two girls that I drew who are dating each other. I think they look super cute. They don't exist anywhere. They were just in my mind, so I decided to draw them. I really like the way they came out. They look pretty cool. I have nothing else to say. They're not really OCs. I didn't give them names or a backstory or anything. I just decided to draw what I had in my mind. And then this is an owl harpy lady person that I drew in another school day where I was bored. And I think she looks very cool. I think for a random ass sketch that I had no plan for, this came out pretty solid. I'm in the forest with my sketchbook to film aesthetic shots of it. But you know what? Maybe it's not all about aesthetics. Maybe it's just about reconnecting this book to nature. I don't know how they were connected before, apart from the fact that the paper from this book came from wood, which probably grew on that tree. Is this good content? I think yes. I'm gonna make this book hug that tree. Ooh. Okay. Let's open her wide. Hopefully, there will be no bugs that will get in here. Look at that. Wow. Okay, that's enough. Then these are more characters from my friend's fanfic. This is the angel person that I showed you before, but in her human form. And this is the demon guy who you saw concept sketch of earlier on. And then just some more like kind of like expressions of the angel lady. And then we've also got him sitting down playing poker with two humans. It looks really awkward. I don't like this one because he looks so stiff and unnatural. But it's because it was my first time drawing someone sitting down. Like I had just roughly figured out how to draw people standing in different positions. But it was my first try. So I'm happy that I tried it at least. I was not intimidated by a new position of the human body, which is scary to draw. Then this page, just kind of me testing out watercolors. I did like a few swatches, but then I decided they looked kind of random, so I filled it in, and the final result looks something similar to the Musically art videos you'd see back in 2016. But you know what? There was nothing really bad with the Musically art videos you'd see in 2016, so this could be seen as a tribute to that time. And then we've got some random people that I drew from my head. And then I divided the page here, and me and my friend drew our other friend who was sitting down in front of us. I think both drawings look really cool, so I have no complaints about this page. This page was from a D&D campaign. There are 2 D&D campaigns that I draw characters from in this sketchbook, so this is the only drawing of the first D&D campaign, but I'll nonetheless call it D&D Campaign B. This is me and my friend's characters. My friend was a dragonborn and I was a elf, a high elf, I believe. And I think this page is pretty cool, even though I made him really buff for like no reason at all. Plus, I don't like the way that his head kind of doesn't really, it awkwardly fits the like size of his body. Like, I guess it looks fine at a glance, but if you really look at it, it kind of starts looking a little bit weird. So I definitely have to fix that. Random people that I drew again, not really much context behind this other than I like the hair. It looks very spiky, and I think this was me trying to capture kind of like that wet hair effect. Then this was the first like double page spread that I really tried to work on my realism. This was me wearing my friend's glasses, and this was me trying to draw my other friend at an 0.5 angle. This was me trying to draw myself accurately at like 1 in the morning, which is why I do look like a druggie in this photo. It's because I took the reference at 1 in the morning, which is always going to be funny to me. I do genuinely look like myself in this drawing, which I'm really happy about because I have never before this managed to draw myself semi-accurately. So this was a big breakthrough, I think. And this was me carrying my friend. I put strength next to it because look at me. I look like an absolute unit. And this was me and my friend. We swapped glasses and, you know, this was the result. I transformed into a monster and he obviously ran for his life. Then this page, I drew kind of like a concept sketch of my D&D character from the second D&D campaign that I was playing at this time, which is going to be called D&D Campaign A. And this was me drawing myself. I think my friend took a photo of me at a Japanese restaurant in London. This was very nice. I think I do really look like myself in this picture, and I don't know, I think I look pretty cool. And this is a random cat. And then here was the final design idea of this D&D character concept sketch. I have like nothing bad to say about this page other than I drew it in pencil and you can see the imprint of this drawing right here, which annoys me. But I really like this character. She was meant to be like a sea, ocean, elf, monster person. And I really like the way she came out. I kind of stuck to this design for the rest of the D&D campaign. So it was definitely something that I drew that came from the heart, which I think is cool. Then this is from the same D&D campaign. This is my character with her eldritch, like, monster god girlfriend. This is said girlfriend in human form. This is my character hugging her. And then we've got said girlfriend in her eldritch form, which I think I drew really well. Like, this was my first drawing of like an eldritch being, so I'm very happy with the way I drew her. Then this was a drawing of my friend on the London Underground. I think we were going to eat, and I think this is a really cool photo. I think she's eating up. Next drawing. This was a Pinterest reference that I used, and I drew it in my German class because I had nothing better to do. And this is a lady I came up with from my head that I drew that I believed would live in this pretty house. Then this was, I think, just a page that I drew in my history classroom. I can't really say much about it. We've got a buff-looking cat guy. We've got a person in joggers and platforms and a teacup. And this is a zoom-in of said teacup, which I think is pretty cool. I think that zoom-in just really makes you think, wow, like that is a special teacup. That is a whimsical teacup. This next page, this is a monster from D&D Campaign A. I didn't finish it because there was so much detail that I just gave up. but I think it looks better this way because you can just imagine everything and fill in the blanks yourself, and it makes it even more terrifying and even more kind of like interesting because I just left it up to interpretation. And then this was, I think, inspired by Peter Pan. I think that whole whimsical idea of a child wanting to like battle pirates and kind of like be independent but also embrace their childlikeness. Yeah, and I think I captured that really well. I don't know who she is and I don't know her name, but she looks very cool. Then this was a page that I made when I was in my English class. I was clearly bored, but I never really get the chance to make this kind of like detailed doodle page very often. So I'm really happy I got to do that because I think this is the only page of its kind in the sketchbook. And this is a photo I took of my brother eating ice cream. I was like, this is a perfect reference for a drawing. And I drew him. So I'm really happy with the way he came out. He looks very happy. I think I captured that, profound joy of eating an ice cream very well. And then this was a really bad drawing I did of one of my dogs biting my mother's pinky finger. I can't really say anything about this. It doesn't really even look like a dog if I don't tell you it's a dog, but it was my first attempt at drawing her, so this is always going to remain in my heart. Then this was a photo of my brothers that my mum took in the garden when they were both ill. I thought it was a really cool photo, so I decided to draw it. There's not really much to say about this. This is the first time I ever drew like a hammock, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. Then this is a page of my mum. I really like my mum's smile, and I really wanted to kind of practice drawing realism, and this was like very good. I think it came out really well because it doesn't look very realistic, especially this one. It's very much like still caricature, cartoonish, if you know what I mean. But I definitely captured my mum's smile, and I really like my mum's smile, so I'm really happy that I managed to capture it accurately in this drawing. This is more of me practicing realism and trying to break out of that caricature feeling that I usually have with trying to draw people realistically. These were two drawings of me, and that was me and my friend. It doesn't really look like the people if you compared it to the reference, but I think it looks good enough, so I'm happy with how it came out. And I really like the different colours as well. That's really fun. Then these were my friends. I got them to send me reference photos, and it also doesn't really look like them, but again, I'm getting my practice in, so hopefully one day I can redraw this and it will look just like them. Then this page was a reference off of Pinterest. I decided that I hadn't drawn architecture in a while, so I wanted to do that, but then I gave up, as you can see, and I don't think I have the strength to finish it because this was a really detailed piece of architecture, so just like the process of filling everything in was very long, but I think it looks pretty artsy if you think about it, like the way that the rest of it is blocked out but just not coloured in. It gives like a sense of mystery. And then this page was me drawing myself in a very cartoony way. This is me as a baby. I've never drawn a baby before, like ever, so I'm really happy with the way this came out. I love how I captured the kind of like chubbiness of the cheeks. And this is one of my friends. It doesn't look like him that much. It's okay because, again, I'm getting my practice in. Then this was my practice of mermaids. I drew both a woman and a man. A mermaid and a merman. Their heads are meant to be turned, but it's really awkward because I think her head looks fine. It looks like she's got it turned around. But because his hair is shorter and it didn't really capture any of his face, it just looks like we've broken his neck. He kind of looks like he's dead, but it's okay. Let's just not focus on that, even though that does really annoy me. I really like the way I captured their anatomy. I really like the tails as well. They look very whimsical, and I actually do really like this page. You can see the Tipp-Ex everywhere. I don't know what that was. This page is pretty cool. And then this was graffiti stuff, because I realised I hadn't practiced a lot of graffiti in a while. This was my friend's tag. And then this is my tag in different fonts, I guess. It says bagel because I really like bagels and I had no better ideas, so that just became my tag. Then this is a little sketch I made of my D&D group from D&D campaign A. I was meant to turn it into a digital sketch, but I gave up. And I don't really like the way I drew all my friends. I don't like the cartoonish feel of it. I kind of wanted it to look different. So I just kind of left it here as like a little grave of a drawing that was meant to look really cool. But I still think it's cool nonetheless, and it's good that I captured everyone, because you can clearly see like the different characters. So this is definitely going to be another kind of cool reminder of like my previous D&D campaign. This is fan art of Esther from The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I'm doing my English coursework on this, so I decided to kind of draw it, especially like the fig tree moment. I think that's my favourite moment in the entire book. But yeah, I don't really like the cartoonish way that I drew her. I definitely want to redraw this page, but like in a bit more of a realistic way to kind of give it more seriousness, I feel. But I still really like the way it came out, especially that beautiful tree and her just lying down here. It captures that fragment of the book really well, I feel. Then this is a page I used to kind of sketch up designs of a shirt that I started painting at my friend's house. I still haven't finished painting it, but I'm very excited to finish painting it so I can wear it, because it's going to be a very cool shirt. It's meant to be like graffiti with birds on it, and the birds will like look really cool. Then in the same day, I think I doodled this because me and my friend were watching a bunch of Studio Ghibli movies whilst actually painting the shirts. So then I got really inspired by like the beautiful landscapes, and I did 2 landscape sketchings from my head. They don't look great, but this is definitely a reminder that I need to do more watercolor landscape painting. Then this was a page of me trying to draw myself and kind of figure out my kind of like face shape and eye shape and expressions. I think my brother said this one looked the most like me, but I like all of them a lot, especially this one, because I haven't drawn my side profile up to this specific photo, and I really like the way they all look. I think they're pretty cool. Then this was my brother. I got him to kind of like squish his face together and then drag it down with his fingers in this one. This one just looks like he's possessed, which is why I wrote Me Maxima Culpa on repeat near this to make it look a bit more intentional. And then this one, he also looks kind of like Nightmare Fuel, but I think it still looks pretty cool. I think you can still see that I was trying to mess with realism here. So I think it's good enough. Then, as you can see here, this is right after I watched K-pop Demon Hunters. I think we all love this movie, and I definitely wanted to capture my love for it. I think the annoying part about this page specifically was using the gold paint on their outfits. It was really stressful because it was like a really thick brush, and these are pretty thin lines, so it was just kind of stressful. But I have no complaints about this page. I tried to draw them in my own style, and I think it came out very nice. I definitely want to do some more digital drawings of them, but yeah, I really like the way this came out. And these are just some sketchings I did of Huntrix. I love K-pop Demon Hunters, like who doesn't? It was such a good movie, so I'm really happy with kind of the fact that I've dedicated a double page spread to this movie. And then this was me trying to figure out my new D&D character, because we had, at this point, I had finished D&D campaign A and now was moving on to a new one. I knew that I wanted to be a druid, tiefling, and I kind of wanted to make her less demonic and more natural looking, so I turned her horns into more antler shaped, and it took me 3 pages to figure out how I wanted her to look like, and this is my final kind of design. I guess this is my final design kind of as well. But yeah, I really like the way she came out, and this, like, these 3 pages look really cool as well. it was just me trying to figure out how she looked like, so I'm happy with this. And then this was me drawing myself whilst I was crying. I thought it looked really artistic, so I wanted to see if I could capture it on paper. And I think I did a pretty good job. I think if it wasn't for the tears that I incorporated in red, I would just kind of look like I'm grimacing. But I don't know, I think it came out pretty well, especially since this is the first time I've ever drawn someone crying ever. So I think I did capture that emotion quite accurately. And then this was a drawing I did of my other dog. I think it looks okay. It doesn't look crazy accurate or crazy realistic, but look at his little face. I think you kind of need this contrast of this cute little dog and this absolute despair on one page. I think it's pretty cool. And then this page I drew my little brother. He does not have a cool mustache, but he just looked a little bit crazy in the reference photo. So I decided to add that mustache to kind of further exaggerate that little goofy, crazy atmosphere around him. This was me and my other brother like 2 years ago near the beach. My mum took a photo of us taking a photo, which I think is very artistic in a way, because we were trying to pose for this photo, but actually we were unknowingly kind of like also posing for the photo my mum took of us. So I thought that was a really cool idea, and I sketched both of us down. And then this was an outfit that I was wearing a couple of weeks ago. I decided to draw it. I think everything but the face looks kind of accurate, but then that face is not me at all, so I don't really know who that is. And then this is a reference I took of myself. I think it looks really cool. I like the hair. I like the details I added in Posca pen to make it a little bit more artsy, and I like the hands and just kind of the like pose. I really captured it well. I'm really happy with how it looks like, and I'm definitely going to turn this into a painting at some point. And then this is the last page of the sketchbook. As you can see, there is nothing on this back side of the sketchbook. I could fill it in right now if you want. I don't know, I'm just gonna add a little smiley face. And I'm gonna add a little bit of a swirly little star. Wow. Now that looks so much more interesting. This page, I think I just had no ideas for it. It was the last page, which made it a lot more scary than it should have been. So I literally just took a photo of me waving since it was the last page, and then I drew it. And then I've got a little goofy star in heels, and then I've got a funny little cat photo meme I found on my Pinterest feed. And that's it for the last page. And that is the sketchbook. That is all of it. I think I learned a lot from the sketchbook. It wasn't anything super crazy, but I really like that this is the first sketchbook I've ever finished. It really did take me on a journey, as I have mentioned before. And yeah, it was a really fun experience. I didn't really think about the finish line, I just kind of enjoyed the process of creating stuff. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and watching my first ever sketchbook tour. I don't really expect this video to do super well. I feel like I kind of rambled for a long time, and I don't really know if any of it was super interesting, but I'm just glad I got to kind of make this little documented video about my first sketchbook that I have fully finished, and talk through the processes behind a lot of the drawings on here, and talk about the challenges I faced and the things I didn't like. I think that everything was definitely a part of the learning process as an artist. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed it and have a lovely rest of your day.